Max Reed is here today, March 16th, 2010, at the Peabody Public Library for the Oral History Project of Whitley County. And I'm John Pontius. Thank you for coming today with us.
Thank you.
Where were you born and raised?
I don't know whether I want to tell you or not.
Were you born and raised in Whitley County?
Whitley County,
Okay.
Columbia Township.
Columbia Township.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
At the it's in the retirement home. It's the old county farms where I was born.
okay. Did you have a doctor there?
No, that family, my family run it for.
Oh, they
My
did?
mother and dad run it for 3 or 4 years, I think.
Okay.
But then 2 of us were born there. The 2 younger ones, Evelyn, a sister, and I.
So where did your parents come from? Were they born and raised in this county?
Well, mother and dad were born in Noble County.
Okay.
And,
So what schools did you go to?
well, did I go to school?
Yeah.
I just went straight to Columbia City. I went through all of the 12 grades in here.
Okay, now what grade school was it? There were several then.
Well,
weren't there?
yeah, one was, well, there was 2 schools up there. One was a grade school, the other high school
Okay,
in town.
okay. Was that called West Ward or something?
Yes, yeah, West Ward
Okay.
and Columbia City High School.
Okay, it's not there anymore, is it?
No, either one.
And when did that get demolished or removed?
I really can't tell you,
Wow.
because I never kept track of the of the dates.
And in a high school, you wouldn't recognize it.
No,
And,
because
because it's the building's still there, but
part of it.
yeah, part of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they had two floors on high school. Well, there was 2 floors in the grade school too.
mhm. And what teachers do you particularly remember?
Oh, Miss in grade school. Let's see. Miss Raber was one.
Raber.
Yeah,
Okay.
Miss Raber, Mary Raber.
And that's who the school is named after? This
Yes,
other school,
I think
new
so.
school?
Mhm.
Why was the school named after her, do you suppose?
Oh, it was through her family, which was one of the earlier families here.
Okay,
And most of them were in education.
okay.
But she was a first grade teacher. Then we had a Miss Smalley, Miss Friskney, Elmer Hendrickson.
Was she a teacher or?
Yes.
Okay,
These were all teachers.
okay.
4th, 5th, 6th grade. And I think Max Gandy was the principal. I mean,
Okay.
grade school principal.
Grade school principal?
Yeah.
And then he went on to become a high school
High
principal?
school, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he taught history, just a class before we got out for lunch.
okay,
And he was in there about half the time with all the other business that he had to do. But he'd be called out, and us kids being nice, we could start to cut up in there. And he'd come in a couple of times when we
Okay.
did that. And he said,
he was kind of tough?
oh, he was,
Okay.
yeah.
What kind of things did you do, you know, school activities or after school? What did you like to do?
Oh, I never got into athletics. We had a junior, senior league there in grade school, and we had it in high school too. But they made up teams of basketball, and you played within that.
Okay.
I didn't have too much to do,
Did,
like debate or anything like that. I never cared for that until I got into high school. But,
oh, so in high school you were in
I
that?
was in, yes.
Okay.
He called in, yeah.
Did they have dances?
No, not very much.
Okay.
That, if they did, I didn't participate in it very much.
Probably nothing like it was later.
No, huh?
Okay.
No.
Now, did kids ever smoke and drink back then?
Oh, I think they did, yes, but I never got into that either. I don't
Okay.
know. For me, I had a very, very quiet
Okay.
early grades.
I suppose people were caught doing that, the kids?
Oh,
they
some of them, yeah.
Okay. Okay, now you said your parents, they ran the county home,
They
okay.
got the county home. They run it for 3 or 4 years. I don't think it's any longer than that.
What is the county home? What all, tell me about that.
Well, it's, at that time, it was, maybe older people or, that would probably be the best thing. They were older people mostly that were by themselves, or they were a little unbalanced
Yeah,
mentally. And had to take care of that. Of course, that was a farm, so Dad run the farm mostly too.
okay,
Farming and,
all right. And was this owned by the county?
yes, I think it was run by the county.
Okay,
Only up to a few years ago. I think it was still there.
okay. And then it was sold to a private?
I think so. The private person or family.
Okay. So, who did you marry?
A gal by the name of Bette Bell.
Was she from around here?
She was from New Haven.
Okay,
And she was a farm gal, or she lived in the country. Her father was a carpenter
okay,
there. And she could tell you better in high school about grade school than I do. But she always had to walk 1.5 miles to her school, which was a 8th grade school, in one room, and they had their 8th grades in that one room. Like, probably like these township schools, like yours out there.
at Thorncreek.
Yeah.
How did you meet her?
Through a 5 and dime store. 5 and dime.
In
store.
Columbia City?
No, in Fort Wayne.
Okay,
After I got out of school, I got a job over at G.C. Murphy. Around Christmas time, and they said if you still think you want to work there, or if you work out pretty good, we'll hire you.
okay,
So we just kept on going there. We stayed here. I think the first time we were married, we lived in Fort Wayne, but then we moved back here.
okay. Like, what was courtship like back then? Did you go to the movies with her?
Oh, yes, but that's about the only thing. We went to a dance place there.
Okay,
And we danced some of that, but I think mostly it was movies, pretty
Okay.
much.
okay, now when you were going to get married, where did you get the ring? It was in Columbia City?
No, it was one of the jewelers there in Fort Wayne,
Okay.
jewelry store. Yeah.
So how long did you work in Fort Wayne?
Oh, probably, I expect 4 or 5 years. And then I went from there to the GE and worked there for a year. Then we moved back here.
When did you start your shoe business?
1943.
43.
There was fellow before that, his name is Fromuth. And he had two sons. One was named George. He was killed in a wreck between Fort Wayne and Columbia City, because he always went to Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
He was what I might say a wild one. And the other that lived here got a brain tumor, and he died, and that left the father, which at that time he was probably in his 60s or in his 80s. He was just left flat. He didn't have anybody to help run him, so.
Where was the store?
Where it was originally, where we had it.
Okay.
Yeah, there on the alley.
Were you working there?
No.
You just, and then what happened? You decided to buy the store?
Well, I didn't have any say in it.
Okay.
My dad and my brother Harry
Okay.
had the store, or Harry decided he wanted Dad someplace permanent, because Dad would bounce around from different jobs, and he wanted to put him in a permanent store, get him placed there. So Harry came to me. Harry worked at Weatherhead, and he'd been there for ever since 34, 38, 39 at the time. He'd been one of the first ones there. So he says, why don't you come back to Columbia City and get in a store, go in a store with Dad. And he said eventually, probably it'll end up on your name anyway, which it did after a few years.
So you got some experience there and working there.
I got the experience there and got to know how to repair shoes.
You repaired shoes too?
Yeah.
Then you went on to own the store.
Yes, yeah.
What would a good pair of work shoes cost you back then when you first started?
Oh, I suppose maybe probably $10 or $15.
Oh.
Work shoes, yeah. And they were good leather ones too.
Okay. Did women have these spiked heels back then ever?
They went from different heels. They went from high heels like they have now. Those had.
You mean way back they had high heels like they do now?
Some. They had pointed toes at one time.
Okay.
Had square toes at one time. Their style just really changed off and on.
Okay. And so how long were you in the shoe
I was in the
business?
store 45 years.
Okay. What were some of the best years for the shoe business?
Oh, probably the later years. When we went in the store, they were old seats. I think they were fastened on a slab of wood with a seat that flip up. They were wood, and they were in three combinations. But eventually went from there to the covered seats or the cushioned seats, and when we went in there was a wood stove in the front. Was also a wood stove in the back.
Okay.
But they were gas stoves actually, or the wood stove. And then they had a big sheet iron around the back of them. I
Okay.
think to protect the heat from coming out too much of it, forced it up.
Now, the back is where you repaired shoes?
Yes, yeah.
They don't do that much anymore.
No, that's a thing of the past, pretty much. Of course, the way the shoes are made now, I couldn't expect any different because most of them are plastic anymore. So much of them is plastic.
So back then, shoes were made better than could last longer, like
yeah,
work
well, I don't
shoes?
know whether they'd last longer, but they were made more solid.
Oh, okay. And maybe people didn't have the money to keep buying shoes, so they would repair them, want them repaired more.
Yes, a lot more than, I don't know whether you can repair much of a shoe now.
They're more difficult to repair.
Yeah. They're molded bottoms where there used to be welt bottoms, and you can
Okay.
repair them.
You suppose there were some people that just couldn't afford shoes?
Oh, sure, there are. Probably was a lot of them there at the time.
And they would wear them out and
Yeah.
get them repaired?
Holes in them,
Okay.
and, yeah.
So I remember a machine you had there where I would come in when I was growing up and put my feet in it. And
Oh, yeah, your
X-ray machine.
Yeah, Dr. Lindbergh was in one day there to get something, and he spotted the machine, and he says, "You realize that is actually an X-ray machine?" And I said, "When you turn it on, and the X-rays come on, they shoot out of those vents, and the X-ray will go to the ceiling and bounce. And it didn't go every which direction." He said, "You don't want to use too much of that because,
Not healthy.
no, it hurts your eyes. That X-ray
Oh.
bother you, burn you." So when we bought our machine, it had a shut-off to it. White's shoe store had bought the first one. But that one you could turn on and it'd just stay on. But this one we bought was a little later, and it had an automatic shut-off of 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So if you got your feet in there, it would shut off after 10 seconds.
Okay. And what was the purpose of that?
It was to see how your feet set in the shoes, how
Okay.
the feet, the toes.
If I remember right, you could see the bones in your
Yes, you
toes,
could.
couldn't you?
Well, you could see the bones, you couldn't see the flesh very much.
Yeah.
When his X-ray would go through that, but you could see the bones
Yeah,
and
I
how
thought
they were
so.
shaped in your foot. The front part of your foot, now
Yeah.
from your instep back, you
couldn't
couldn't see much.
Yeah. So how long did you use that all the time?
Yeah, we did. We didn't.
Okay.
Well, after Lindbergh told us about that, why we used it whenever we had to, but we didn't use it very good,
Okay.
very much.
So were there shoe stores, and there was one other shoe store?
There was two other regular shoe stores, and then Flox Department store. And
Okay.
they had a division of shoes. They had a shoe department.
Was that just for women?
No, it was all of them,
Oh,
men, boys.
okay.
As a matter of fact, they probably sold as many shoes as us two, both together.
Oh, they did, okay.
Yeah.
Were there shoe stores in South Whitley or Busco?
Busco was one. I don't think there was a shoe store in South Whitley. Yeah, there was one in Busco. But I can't remember what their names were.
What were, let's see, you were on the alley.
Mhm.
Now, by the way, someone has a shoe store where you had it, right?
Yes,
In the same place?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
so
been in there, 10 or 11 years now already.
what is the name of that shoe store?
That's Moore. Shoes and More, it says.
Okay, and what was the name of yours? Just Reed?
Just Shoe Store.
Okay. What was the store right next to you most of the time?
It's been a gift shop, pretty much.
Was it, are you talking about the garden gift shop?
Uh-huh.
That was a pretty well-known place.
Oh, yeah, it was well, let's see,
Was it Mary Holloway or something?
yeah, Mary Hallowell,
Hollowell.
yeah. And she had it for a long time. Well, before that, before she moved in there, it was a furniture store, a combination furniture store and funeral home.
Funeral home.
Yeah, a fellow by the name of Ern had the funeral, had the caskets in there.
Okay.
He sold caskets.
But,
And he was a furniture man.
but mainly, they just sold the caskets there, or?
Yeah, I think so. They didn't have any services there, it was usually in
Okay.
churches. But
Okay.
he had the caskets that he sold.
By the way, who were other funeral homes back then around?
Demone Smith.
Okay, the
That's
same,
it.
the Smiths are still,
Yes. Smith's, well, before Terry was his father and his brother,
let's see,
Before that.
Stewart and?
Boyce.
Boyce,
Boyce,
yeah,
Before that was their father that had it.
okay,
And he originally started in Largo, as I understand.
okay.
And he came to Quincy City, was in the same business.
Do you, there are some other families that are still going that had stores or businesses way back when you first started too, I imagine. Let's see, who would some of those be? How about the jewelry store? Let's see, was it Murphy's?
Murphy's, I
And,
can't remember who the
and,
person was before that.
and isn't the daughter or someone still running that
Yeah,
jewelry store?
Marilyn, I think, she runs it, yeah, she has it,
And is it the same place?
same place. It's
Okay.
right then, there on the Main Street.
Yes,
There was another jewelry store, Jack Squires had one.
okay, yes.
And I'm not sure whether it was another one there or not.
There were other family, let's see, what other, like the Trier's, the car dealership still
Yeah,
going from way back.
they've been there.
How about Ball Furniture? Were they started way back?
No, Omer came in and he had a furniture store started in the building behind Masonic Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
That building is gone now, but they got another building built in there. It's right behind it.
Okay, where's that? Masonic Lodge?
You've never been up there?
Well, I'm trying to think right now.
It's a corner well, it's just a half a block to the west of us. It's
Okay,
a big
okay,
building.
yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And then he went from there to, he moved to North Main Street in the first block, I think, and from there he moved to Roffer's building.
Oh,
You
okay.
know where that is, on the other opposite corner. And from
Yes,
there he
yes.
moved down where Dave is now. So
Okay.
they moved different times too.
Now, there was, wasn't there a Dues restaurant?
Right
What
across the alley from our store.
Okay,
Now between Flox's, that half a block, was Flox. And there was a confectionery next to there that I think Red Mollendor had.
they sold donuts and,
Well, they sold pop and popcorn.
Okay.
Different things like that.
okay,
And that's really, when I was in school, that's where the popular ones met, was
Oh.
there. That was the thing then for them. But from Flox's and Mollendor's, there was a store that I could remember as a, let's see, sort of a combination automotive store. Well, to start with, it was a barber shop at one time.
who was the barber?
One was Baker, one fellow by the name of Baker, one Paul, Paul.
Did you get your hair cut at that place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. For about $5 or $3, I think's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Paul McLean's dad.
Okay.
There were the two, there was three of them in there.
Okay. By the way, did you belong to some organizations in town like Kiwanis or something?
Oh, I did it one time. I was in Rotary.
Rotary?
I was
okay.
in there 15 years.
Okay.
I never got any big job as far as, not the head of it.
Were they doing the similar things back then, I
Yeah.
suppose?
Yes, same as they do now, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was Columbia City a good place to have a business and raise a family? Pretty.
Oh, yes, I think it would be as halfway decent as it was any place.
Yeah. There's nothing really bad about.
No,
in Columbia
I didn't
City.
think so.
Yeah.
It was a good county seat, business, and you almost could get anything in town.
Yeah. Well, let's start with groceries.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, where did your parents buy their groceries?
Oh, there were different places.
There were
Yachts.
several groceries, I suppose.
Yeah, I could.
Small.
I was trying to think before I come out here how many grocery stores there were uptown. There was Yachts and Shriner, and Kroger was up there one time. Kroger was right next to Ball's Furniture.
Yes, yes.
Daniels, and now beyond down towards the show was Leininger in there.
Were they pretty much the same?
Oh,
Or did they
pretty
do
much.
different things?
I think so. No, they were pretty much just straight grocery stores.
Okay.
And none of them, I think, had any special programs or anything.
Okay.
But I suppose eventually Daniels probably got to be the bigger one.
Daniels.
Lee Daniel.
Lee Daniel. Is any relation to Dan Daniels?
He probably,
Some.
he might have been, I think he was just a relative.
Okay.
Not too close.
Okay, then there were drugstores, probably several of them.
Yeah.
Did they have counters where you could get soft drinks and
Yeah,
things?
soda pop.
Soda pop?
Yeah. There was one in the, across the street from the Masonic Lodge, which was a Columbia Drug.
I remember the name, Columbia Drug. That's been going a long time, I
Oh,
suppose.
yeah, it's been going a long time. It was more of a headquarters to buy school supplies or school
Really?
books for grade school. I mean, well, they even had in the high school too. They had they sold books for grade school, high school. That was one big thing big sideline that they did.
It was closer to the school.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, close to school. They had Rexall, which was in the second block.
On Van Buren
Yes,
Street.
yeah, that was Shelley Stevens. He
Okay.
had that for quite a long time. Then it was one close to Daniels, a meat market there on the corner of Chauncey and Van Buren.
Okay, that was that where, across from where the clothing store, Strauss,
Yeah.
across from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that was Burnworth.
Okay.
Joe Burnworth bought it, or that he went under his name there.
Okay.
But I think his boy then took it over and run the drugstore.
Okay, well, let's talk about taverns. Now, I know you never set foot in a tavern in your life, but could you tell me, there were a few around, weren't
Oh,
there?
there were a few around, but, and
Like down, were they on the main street there?
no, there was only one there that I knew of, was Rhodes Pool.
Okay.
On the alley.
And the pool room was on the second floor, was it, or something?
Well, it was on the main, I think it was on the main floor, actually.
Because I remember some person telling me that they would sneak up from the back and they were too young to go to the tavern and so
Oh,
something
well, you
like
got that story, I didn't. Yeah, that was really the only place that I could think of. I'm sure there was more of them.
Yeah.
Dew's Restaurant sold the beer. I mean, they could sell beer there, but there was different ones that did that too. But as far as restaurants around, there was quite a few restaurants right uptown.
Now, at lunch, would you go to eat at one of them?
No, oh.
Or did you carry your lunch?
No, I went home.
Oh, okay. And, where did you live while you had the store?
Store, well, I lived on North Whitley Street.
Okay.
Well, my folks lived right south of Jim Adams' building there. That house up there on the hill.
The first house?
South.
South, okay.
We stayed there when we moved back from Fort Wayne. We stayed there with my folks for a little bit.
Okay.
And then I moved to the next house south, which was Harry's house. And he moved out to the lake, out to Big Lake. So we got a chance to rent his house.
Okay.
And from there away, we got over to where we were on
Okay. So was it interesting living next to the Adams family?
oh, we didn't have too much to do with them, not Mr. and Mrs. Adams. I enjoyed their yard. We played baseball out there.
Big yard. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably had some horses there.
She did. They had two or three, but I never got interested in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been a Methodist?
Ever since I was born.
Really?
Yeah, baptized in the church, and there.
Here in Columbia, the one in on Chauncey Street, and
Bogdamoni, I think, has been longer than I have. I'm either second or third.
for the longevity.
Yeah.
Were you married in that church?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
No, I wasn't either. I was married over at my wife's place.
Okay.
I was out in the front yard.
Okay.
We had a family gathering there.
Kind of a reception there.
Yeah, I was married there and reception there.
A lot of relatives come.
About all of them.
Okay.
All of them, all of theirs.
Okay. Let's see. I remember a minister by the name of Bailey.
Well,
Yeah, you
yeah,
remember?
that was one.
Yeah, and the reason I remember is that they had a son born sometime before me, and they named him John, Jon.
Oh.
And then our family was going there, and that's how my mother got the idea to name me Jon.
Oh.
And I have no idea where this guy is now.
I don't know. I knew it was Bailey. I think Bette, for not going there very much when she was young, she could probably rattle off the names of the ministers back farther yet a little bit.
Annie, you remember some of the lay leaders over the years?
Not too much.
I remember Lawrence Linville, a farmer. He was from Smith Township, I think, and he was Sunday school superintendent for a while.
Well, he lived on the east side of Round Lake.
Okay.
That's really in Smith Township, I think.
Yeah. Do you remember a Mabel Parrish?
Yes, I know her.
What did she do?
She was probably a pianist, but I don't know how she worked in the church. She probably had some different things to do too.
She was taught so many kids and gave piano lessons.
Yeah.
And would have recitals, and then the names of the kids in the recitals would be in the newspapers, and there would be a long, long list.
Yeah. She lived in town here, across the street from the overall factory.
For what factory?
The overall factory.
Really?
Bluebell, you remember?
Oh, okay,
Bluebell?
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, what Mabel Parrish did was teach Sunday school to kids. And she made us learn to recite all the names of the books of the Bible.
Oh, is that right?
And I can remember my sister just rattling them all off all at once.
Yeah.
And and the Methodist Church had kind of a chapel kind of area there where she taught
piano or history.
Yeah. But Methodist Church has changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean,
Oh, yeah, as far as that goes, I suppose. Rules, things like that, probably have more over the years than I've ever thought. I never really, to me, down in my heart and mind, I could never really grasp the church like my folks did.
kind of a different generation and looked at things a little differently. And the Methodists, that I remember, were not quite as strict as some denominations.
No, I guess not.
So
I could say right now, the church times for their church things, it reminds me of the Catholic times on Sunday. It's an early church, and you get up in the dark.
okay.
But other than that, why, it's not a church that to me is demanding, as some of them are.
Which some people like, I suppose.
Well, yes.
Now, they really remodeled drastically inside that church.
The church they had originally.
Yeah. About when was that?
Well, that I don't know when they built that second building, that part on it.
So eventually,
in the
they
70s.
they left that building there.
And they went out to this one.
So now there was a Catholic church back then.
Presbyterian, Lutheran, there's the Church of God. And that basically, at one time, was about what it was, about all it was. I could remember anyway.
So there are many more churches now. Of course, there are more people.
A lot of different churches, that they've branched off to some of these regular churches, I think.
Did you ever notice prejudice against, say, the Catholics?
Yes.
You noticed that?
Yeah, I've noticed it quite a bit.
Yes. More than, say, a Methodist felt more negative about the Catholics than they did the Presbyterians.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't know why, but it's but it's only one Catholic church here. Of course, out around in the counties, there probably is more of them. One especially south.
Oh, on State Road 9. there
Yeah,
was one.
it's the, well, where your Catholic people live, oh, and they branch out right around there.
Okay,
It's, but, I don't know, there was always a prejudice against them quite a bit.
speaking of prejudice, I seem to remember that there was some rule or law that black people had to be out of town by nightfall or something. Did you ever remember anything like that?
That was the story I heard too.
Okay.
They sort of frowned on them, and I don't really know the story, and I heard of it too, but it had something to do with the colored people or one person that did something.
Oh,
Ralph Gates, when he was a governor, had a colored chauffeur, and he would park over there in front of their building, right at Ralph's Lawyers, up above the bank,
okay.
Farmers Bank.
Where the county building is now?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And they parked the car there, and this colored boy would not move from the car.
Okay.
And the only time I think he went any place, he went across the street to Dues
Okay.
for coffee, something like that. But
Mm.
other than that, he stayed right by the car. He didn't move around too much. But there was always a story. I don't know exactly what it was now, but scared him anyway.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the mayors. What are some of them you remember that stand out in your mind?
Let's see. Trying to think what.
Was there a Mayor Hood way back?
Yeah, it was Hood. And there's some of them, of course, farther back than that too. But
Were there, did the Republicans kind of predominate more, or win more of the elections through the years, or were there times when the Democrats did?
it varied. Some of them were up and some of them were down. But
Okay.
I think there's more of a popularity of them more.
You mean the person?
Yeah, Ira Weber he was a mayor.
Okay.
Um,
Was he a Republican or Democrat?
yes, he was Republican.
Okay. Did the county council ever do things that you disagreed with as far as your business, helping or hurting your business?
No, never bothered us really
Okay.
very much. We didn't have any contact with them. We had some apartments up above, but we didn't ever have any trouble with the council.
Was there any trouble in Columbia City of any kind? Much?
No.
Like any major murders or
Anything exciting like that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Pretty safe place.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
If you ever remember a story about these around the courthouse on each corner, there is a cistern. That's one thing that people don't know about because it's way back. They had built the cisterns, and I think it's on all four corners that they have cisterns, but they had water in, or they put water in way back when, so if you had a fire, they were close to that.
Okay.
Or even out in some of these streets, they had places.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and one time they found a skeleton in the southeast corner.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the excitements they found.
Okay.
They finally decided who it was.
Okay. A murder.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't know how he got in there because they figured somebody killed him and dumped him in. He was a drunkard anyway.
Okay.
He probably was uptown, got drunk, and somebody dumped him in one of the.
Okay. Were there some town characters that were not necessarily drunkards, but real memorable characters around town?
Well, there was the one, Rosebud Slim.
Did you know about him or know him?
I was a little ahead of my time.
Okay.
But he was what you might say, a bum. But he went from town to town, just traveled, they coming around. When he'd get around town here, he would get his lunch or bum his lunch if they'd paint rosebuds around on some things.
Oh, okay.
That's where he got his name, was Rosebud Slim. Other than that, right offhand, I couldn't think of very much of anything. He was the main one.
Okay.
He always had a wheelbarrow. That's all I had was his possessions in that.
Okay, like clothes and
Yeah.
everything, okay.
Paints and, yes.
Okay. Oh, now, back when you were growing up, what was Old Settlers like? Did you go on the rides?
That was one day on Thursday.
Just one day?
They'd move in during the night and they'd leave during the night.
Well,
That was
who would
one
move
day.
in? You're talking about the rides?
Yeah, everything. It was strictly Old Settlers Day, but they was
just
on
one-
Thursday.
and-
And all the stores had closed down and
So your store was closed all day?
later on, yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And most of it was from Main Street to Johnson Street, right up through the business district.
Okay.
Then it finally got, so there was two blocks full of it, plus the side streets.
And what all did they do on that one day?
Well, they had shows from the courthouse there. They had an old bandstand on the northwest corner. And then I think they worked from there. There was that, well, let's see, what was it? Ladies' clothing store that was to the west of the Farmers Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was right next to Roffers.
Mm.
A fellow named Lorber. And he was, there was two brothers. And the one older one, he got to be the speaker and the MC of the programs for Old Settlers Day.
And what kind of program did they?
They brought them in from Chicago, someplace.
Music?
Music and acrobats, and they used to, you ever remember one pole that maybe stuck, well, it was out in front of the courthouse, the north side of the courthouse, that maybe stuck up there 100 feet, I suppose. This fellow he would climb up to the top of that, and he'd go back and forth on that.
Okay.
He was quite an acrobat, but they had good programs. Most of them are off of that bandstand.
Okay.
They used to have a band playing there too. So,
And did they have rides at all?
yes.
Like merry-go-round?
The merry-go-round, Ferris wheel,
Even way back, you're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about when you were a kid?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
and did you go on them?
Oh, yes. Had enough money for that.
Okay.
And had some of these swings that, they call them swings, actually,
Swings.
fasten them on and they would swing them around.
And-
Bumpers, cars, they had those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose a lot of food was sold?
Yeah, a lot of, then you could, some of these churches would have a good meal for
Okay.
in those until the state clamped down on them.
So they couldn't do that?
Yeah, just open food like that, they clamped down on it. But
Okay.
that time, you could, I think, I'm not too sure, but I think the Methodists were in on that too at one time. Presbyterians were, and, yeah.
Did they back then have, let's see, the oldest person and?
Yeah, oldest lady and the oldest man, I think, and maybe even the oldest person, really.
Okay.
Yeah, they had that.
Now, I suppose that on that day when you were a kid, you just wander around there with some other kids?
Yes, yeah, well, some, yes. I remember, see, my dad was uptown most of the time. If he'd spot me, he'd say, "Your place is home."
Okay.
And that's,
Why did he say that?
he just didn't want me uptown.
Okay.
Get into trouble.
Okay. Now, I suppose people from the country came in.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
them.
On, used to be, originally was Saturday night, and people would come in from the country and they'd have their groceries, buy their groceries
Yeah.
Saturday night. And, it was really a gang in, but,
Why do you suppose it changed?
well, it changed, started changing, I think, when some of the grocery stores were sort of scattered out. See, I was thinking of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 grocery stores, or, yeah, grocery stores right down in 3 or 4 blocks. But some of those began to leave, and some of them got bigger, and then some of them, like Kroger's, went out. Different places, different ones like that, to where they could park and wouldn't be too far from the grocery store. But,
Saturday night was the big shopping night
Yeah.
in Columbia City. It was-
Saturday night, and then it got to be Friday night, changed
Oh.
it to Friday night. And I don't know, from there, it just got away from there. But for both those nights at one time were big. They'd come in and a lot of them could park uptown on both sides of the street,
Okay,
close to the grocery stores, and
okay. What happened during, in your life during World War II? Did business change in life in Columbia City?
oh, it maybe did some, but took some of the boys out of
Yeah,
condition, but it didn't bother me. I didn't go anytime, but it was because of the physical trouble I had with the leg
oh,
back
okay.
in, I see, 1942 or 42. That was before we went in the store. And I had appendicitis operation, and we went to Linville, Doc Linville, and he was gonna send me to Fort Wayne to the doctors, and Pop said, "No, you don't. You're gonna do it right here." The trouble was, that was on a Saturday or Sunday, and this Linville was going to do it on Wednesday. Well, there's about 3 days there that if I would have had it right away, I wouldn't have had the trouble, but had a blood clot. And then they didn't know anything really what to do with it. I had it in the groin, and you could see that he came in after, when it was up in the hospital, second floor there, and he came in with a hypodermic needle. I think that hypodermic needle was maybe 3 or 4 feet, inches long. but they give me a shot in the spine, at the base of the spine, and that just deadened the leg. And I was in there for 22 days, but each day you could see for 10 or 12 days, you'd see that blood clot gradually go down the leg.
Oh, okay.
But in doing that, it plugged up everything too, as far as veins. So I've never been able to really use it like I do the right. And that was one thing that kept me out of service. I went twice.
For a physical? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
I went twice, and they kicked me out both times for the leg.
How did you feel about that?
Started ticking me off.
Oh, it did? Oh,
Yeah, 'cause I was ready to go with the rest of them.
okay.
Yeah.
You had friends and...
Oh, yeah, well, about all of them
Oh.
went. And,
Did some of them not come back?
No, most of them did.
Okay.
Cousins and all of them went like that. So I expected to go. And they didn't want me.
Well, at least you got...
They wanted foot soldiers.
Okay, yes. Well, we were talking about the Second World War. How about the Depression? Did that hit your family hard?
Well, that hit before I knew too much.
Do you remember if it hit your parents?
Yeah, it did some. They, of course, I said they were running the retirement place out
Okay.
there.
Did they live there at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's time I can't remember because I was born there, so
Okay.
Evelyn was born. My sister was born there too.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to all this?
Well, no, not that I know of. I've always enjoyed living in Columbia City.
Mhm.
We made my living there off of the people,
Mhm.
and I enjoyed doing that too. You'd be surprised how many people now, they recognize you. They say, "Oh, I remember you're in the shoe store. I
Yes.
brought my kids in to
Yes.
get the shoes fit." Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
So you get some back speak too. You get some back memories too.
Well, Max, thank you very much for
Okay.
sharing your experiences and the history that you remember of.
As much as I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.